Jalen Elliott.
And he likes Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh. And what do you think about Kids Camp? What do you like about it?
Everything.
Anything else?
Well, I've made some new friends.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to. That's what a lot of people like. And anything about God you'd like to say about
Yeah.
Jesus?
Well, I'm just glad that Satan has not ruled everyone, not only a few people like my brother and my dad.
Yeah. Hopefully nobody else. I hope somebody gets saved here. Yep. What do you think about God?
I forgot. Well, he did create us with his own hand.
Did he do anything for you?
Yes, he helped me find my Bible and my shoes.
Oh.
And my Game Boy.
That's pretty amazing. It's a miracle. We'll probably interview some more on you guys on Wednesday. Say bye.
Bye.